This is More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. We welcome you into another edition of More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. And boy, do we have an interesting guy today. You see him right there. This is Norbert Leo Butz. And you're going, I know that guy. I've seen him everywhere and everywhere and everywhere. You're an actor. You're a singer. You're a Tony Award winner. And you're a St. Louisan. So when people look at your face, do they say, I know that guy? Do you get that a lot?
I do get that a lot. And it's so funny because if you're a New Yorker, I get stopped and there's, I loved you in, Big Fish or Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. If I'm in LA, though, I loved you in Bloodline. I love you. So I have kind of a split personality thing. I feel very lucky that I've been able to have a diversified career. So,
well, that's kind of the name of the game, isn't it? You have to know how to dance. You have to know how to sing. You have to know how to be a dramatic actor, a comedic actor, all of the above.
Totally. And when I talk to young actors and young performers, that's what I tell them. I'm like, cast a wide net, learn how to do a little bit of everything. It's a tough business. I mean, this is not an easy profession. And so the more skills, the more tools you got in your toolbox, the longer you can, do this thing.
And you do teach acting students, right? You give them some of your philosophies?
Well, yeah. Yeah, I've taught adjunct at a lot of colleges around me. I'm up in New Jersey. Well, right now I'm in Florida, as you see, with this lovely Florida-themed boat behind me. But yeah, I live just outside New York City in New Jersey. Seton Hall is basically in my backyard. I live in South Orange, New Jersey. So a lot of the schools up there, I do adjunct teaching, and I love that too. So yeah.
That's great. And who knows, someday one of your students might end up being as successful as you, and you're going to be I did that. That was me.
Yeah, well, I hope I don't take credit for it, but it's the thing I really, really love. I really like working with young actors. It is very rewarding to try to give back. And, hey, these are some things that I learned along the way, take it or leave it. But, and I love watching young actors develop. Yeah.
That is something that I kind of adopted as well in my journalism and broadcast career, 40 years spanning. If, I've been mentoring a young journalist and they said, oh, well, the radio station wants me to read the news, but I want to be on TV. I'm like, no. Say yes to everything until somebody gives you a reason to say no.
Amen, Randy. I tell that all the time. Sometimes with young people, young actors starting out, it's, I don't want to take that job, or that's below me, or I'm going to wait for a film. It's like, it doesn't work like that. You haven't earned the right to say no. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Say yes, say yes. So yes. I want to ask, you are one of 11 children in your family. I come from a large family as well, of 7, but certainly not 11. Do you find that because there were so many siblings in your family and you were it's just, I can't imagine dinner time. I know what it was like at my house, but do you think that's why your career took this trajectory, because you kind of felt like you wanted to stand out from the crowd, even in your own family? I've
talked to my shrink for years about that very, very fact. And I do think that that's a part of it. Growing up in these great big Catholic family, very loving family. I'm still, I'm down here visiting one of my little brothers right now. But I do think there's something about being a part of a big crew like that. Keeps your ego in check, right?
Oh, heavens, yes.
Yes, you have to learn to.
They don't care that you won 2 Tonys.
Hello.
No.
They do not care. And you got to hustle. As a kid, even for the attention, we had to hustle for our food. Dad, if you didn't get that last piece of bread, someone else was going to swipe it.
Heck yes.
So I think it gives you a great work ethic. I started working, I think, when I was 12 or 13, delivering groceries. I do think coming from like that large middle-class Catholic background has really helped me in good stead over the years. Gives you a work ethic. It keeps your ego in check. A lot of gratitude you got to keep, and just hard work. We were taught it at a young age. And I do think something about trying to get attention. I definitely think that's it. And all performers will tell you that.
No doubt about it. So for people who are watching and are not from St. Louis, you are a St. Louis native. I am a native New Yorker, upstate New York. Niagara Falls. I was born in Niagara Falls, New York.
My God.
I actually have a plate up there of Niagara Falls. I was married at Niagara Falls. Anyway, my family's still back there. And one of the things that people in St. Louis always say is, where did you go to high school? I'm like, what the heck is that all about? So where did you go to high school?
I went to Bishop DuBourg, right in South St. Louis. DuBourg is still there. It's barely hanging on now. When I was there in 1985, it's still a huge parochial high school. And with a really good theater department. And I got to give a shout out to Jim Liebrecht. And we had a really, really great theater program. And that's where I really caught the bug. That's where I went to high school.
That's fabulous. And I still don't understand the whole where did you go to high school thing. Let's transition to your screen time. You've been in numerous movies, and I know you are limited to speak about some things because the continuing SAG-AFTRA strike. So If I cross the line, just say, shut up, Randy. Don't ask me that. I'm not allowed. We don't want to talk about that. But one thing I do want to talk about is some of your TV credits where you have appeared. You've played in a lot of crime genres like CSI, Law and Order, Blue Bloods. Do those roles tend to gravitate towards you? Or is it the other way around?
Well, early on, a lot of those things that you're talking about, most of my career for the first, I'd say 20 years, Randy, of my career was on stage. I did a lot of Broadway, a lot of plays. I did an MFA in acting. And so I would just you just take what's given to you. You would, and a lot of those shows at the time were shooting in New York, the Law and Order franchises, Blue Bloods. You'd do a play and then you'd get a few days on a series, and that was great. And it wasn't until I was about 40 that I got my first series regular in a show for Netflix called Bloodline. And that was really when I started, you're in front of a camera kind of day in and day out. It's a steep learning curve going from stage work to film and television work. It's highly technical. It's a kind of a whole different game. So early on, again, like we were talking about before, I just took what was given to me. You
always say yes until someone gives you a reason to say no.
Bingo. I definitely, I do get hired to play. I don't know if it's my luck. Who knows why? I get offered to play a lot of heavies. I play a lot of crooks. I play a lot of bad guys. Now I'm playing a lot of cops. And that's just what a lot of the content is. We just
people love it. They really do.
They love it. But I've been able to branch out and do other things. Since the advent of streaming, television and anthology television and limited series is really where I've been able to be really lucky and continue to work. Yeah.
Well, we love watching your work on screen, but now we can listen to you in the car, streaming you on all of our streaming services. You recently released your album called King of Hearts, and I want to hear about the evolution of this album for you. And I listened to some of it before we started talking today. It's got kind of a very country soul vibe to it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, kind of. It's just really kind of, I don't know, very authentic and country soulish. And it's only 6 songs, and there's a reason for that, right?
Yeah. So I'm super proud of this little EP that I did. We had this terrible global disruptor a few years ago called COVID-19. And
I remember.
You remember, right? We're still kind of feeling some of the repercussions from that time. I have 3 daughters, and one of the upsides of COVID for me was all 3 of my girls who were scattered. 2 of them were in college and one was in elementary school, and one at home, one in Florida, and one in Washington State. And they all came home to me. And I loved having all 3 of my girls home. And we're a musical family. And so that's what we did, man. We were quarantined for 4 months. It was really bad up in New York and New Jersey during those early months of the pandemic. I mean, we were shut in and we just played music constantly. My girls play, and we would have family music jams. My oldest daughter, Clara, is a really wonderful songwriter. She turned 26 this week. She's been writing songs since she was a teenager. And I've always written songs, and she has been coming to me over the past few years. Hey, Dad, is this a good song? And her songs are getting so good. I was like, Clara, they're not only good songs. I want to record a couple of them.
Nice.
She's a writer. She's not a super performer like me, but she's really starting to take songwriting really seriously. So I recorded 2 of her songs, rented some studio time. I wrote a couple others myself, sort of in response to her songs. So the record is kind of a conversation between a dad and a daughter.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Yeah. So my daughter is really a big part of the record for me. We made it during COVID, and it was a time, everything shut down. I wasn't able to work. And then when quarantine was lifted, I was contracted to do a series up in Vancouver, Canada. I did a series for NBC called Debris, a science fiction series. It only lasted 1 season, but I had to go over the border to Canada, and I could not get back home to my girls for 9 months. I did not see my wife or kids. This was pre-vaccines, right? So the Canadian CDC was super strict. So while I was up there, I took the songs, and I just continued to record more tracks to them and just develop them more and more. It's something that I did while I was in isolation. And then I found the classic Dolly Parton tune, 9 to 5. And I found this kind of new take on it based on, it's a really feel-good pop song. It's got that great fingernail on the washboard kind of, on the typewriter kind of funk feel to it. But it was such a terrible time. And I started rethinking of the song through the viewpoint of an essential worker, and how precarious that time was for people working 9 to 5. People's livelihoods were really, really at stake. So I did this song in a minor key, and I brought the mood of it way, way down. And now people are really responding to the tune when I play it out, because we're in this labor thing right now, not just on strike, auto workers, teachers, a lot of these industries that
nurses,
exactly, that are now, we're feeling the effects from COVID, right? And so the song really affects people, workers, 9 to 5 workers, essential workers, day laborers.
That's amazing how it was able to morph into what's going on today, right? It's amazing.
100%, yeah. And so I was like, hey, let's take these 6 tunes and release them as an EP. And so we just released it last week, and
that's awesome. And I mean, talk about something to cherish with your family forever. Now, is there going to be kind of like a Partridge Family vibe, traveling around the country in a big old colorful bus, playing all these songs?
I wish. God, did I love the Partridge Family.
Me too.
I want to be in the Partridge. Didn't we all want to be in the Partridge?
That's where I first learned of tacos, because Keith Partridge would go to the taco stand. Being from upstate New York, we ate kielbasa. We didn't know what tacos were back in the 70s.
Yeah. Love the Partridge Family. Love the idea. And I'm from a musical family. You mentioned before, I'm the 7th of 11 kids. My oldest brother played guitar. The next brother played piano. The next brother played piano and guitar. We all just kind of picked up instruments. It's kind of what we did growing up. And I'm kind of carrying that tradition on with my kids. And it's, music is the great unifier. It's the language of the heart. And I don't think we'll be touring. Like I said, my daughter's a writer, she's not a performer. But man, I might
you can play the tambourine. Come on,
I might
like the little redheaded one did.
Oh yeah, that's right.
She didn't do anything. It's so funny. Let's switch gears back to the St. Louis scene. How often do you come back to visit fam if they're here? Are you into the St. Louis sports scene, or are you a New York guy now?
Okay, great questions. I come home whenever I can. I'm super close. My parents are gone now. I've lost a couple of siblings. Actually, the last decade was tough for my family. I lost a brother, a sister, my mom, and my dad all in 8 years. And that was really tough. So the remaining kids, we've bonded even closer. So I'm home whenever I can. I was just home to do a concert at the Sheldon a couple of weeks ago. I come home every year. We have a big family kind of get together, because now my brothers and sisters all have kids. I have 36 nieces and nephews, Randy. And
that's
now
a long Christmas list.
They're having kids, right? So my family has a property in Crawford County, near the Steelville area, very rural. And this property has been in my family for generations now. And we all meet there. It's, we've got 70 acres, and and a cabin up there out in the country, and we've got some horses, and we all meet there. It's heaven. It's just heaven, right on the Louisan Merrimack rivers. And we go there with all of our kids for a week every 4th, and it's the highlight of my year. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
I'm home whenever and wherever I can. Yeah, I still have 6 siblings in St. Louis.
So do you go to games? Do you cheer on St. Louis sports teams? How does that go?
Huge. I'm a diehard Cardinals fan. I mean, I live and die by the Redbirds. I love our team. This was a really rough season for us, a transition year. But I was there to the bitter end, and it's going up from here. What I need to get into, my siblings are now all into is it the MSL team that we have now?
Oh, St. Louis City SC, which has just inaugural year has gone crazy. First place, kicking butt.
3 of my siblings have season tickets now. I've had to go to games, but haven't been in town long enough to make one.
Good luck getting a ticket. They're tough.
Like I said, I've got some connections. 3 family members, I think, have season tickets there now. Can't wait to do. And in fact, I was home doing a concert at the Sheldon a couple of weeks ago when I was asked, I was flying out. They asked me to come sing the national anthem or the anthem before the game, and I couldn't make it. So that's on my bucket list too.
That'd be awesome. Well, be prepared to stand up the whole time, because that's what they do. Okay. Being from South St. Louis, of course, soccer, St. Louis, the birthplace of soccer, basically. Did you play when you were growing up?
Every single year, we went to, I was in St. Stephen Proto-Martyrs Parish. That's where we all went to elementary school. So CYC all the way through. Baseball, basketball, soccer every year. When I got to high school, I went to Bishop DuBourg. We had a really competitive soccer program, and I was cut from our soccer team. I was devastated, and I switched to running. I became a really competitive runner. Oh, wow. But I love the sport. Love the World Cup. I'm a diehard fan. So yeah, big soccer guy.
Do you watch Welcome to Wrexham, the limited series with Ryan Reynolds? And it's a documentary on it's fantastic. So much about
that. Can you believe that guy went and bought a league? He bought a team. What a story.
It's fantastic. And if you're a soccer fan, a football fan, you really must watch it. I highly recommend it.
Not to name drop. Name dropping is really tacky. Mick Jagger told me that one time. Don't ever name drop. No, I'm kidding. But I did meet Ryan Reynolds a couple of times, and a hell of a nice guy as well.
Well, yeah, he just seems like a genuine dude, and he's so much into this.
A super cool guy. One of the guys, when you meet like great big celebrities and you hope they're as cool as they think, he's one of them that's actually as sweet and cool as you would think.
I'm kind of getting the vibe that you go into that category for me right now, because you know what? We've never met, and you don't know me, I don't know you, but feel like we're vibing here. I feel like we're kind of vibing here.
Whenever I hear anybody is one of 7 kids, it's a language, right? It's just
gosh.
No BS. You just, you don't need bells and whistles. You just lay it out there.
Yeah, I've been kind of known to just kind of lay it out there and say what's on my mind. Let's get back to your acting. And again, I know with the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike, you are limited on what you are able to talk about. Recently released The Exorcist and upcoming. Okay, are you allowed to talk about The Exorcist? Is that the one where your name is Norbert?
Well, so here's the thing about my name. My professional name is Norbert Leo Butz. That's right. That's my birth name. My dad was also Norbert Butz. So Randy, check this out.
I love that. I love that name, by the way. It's such a cool name.
Well, you're in a very small minority. Here's my brothers' names are, I have 7 brothers: Steve, Mike, John, Tom, Tony, Tim, and Jim. I got Norbert, and I'm not the first one. I'm the 7th, but I was born in 1967. I was the only one in all 11 of us that my dad was actually present, because men could not be in the delivery room prior in 1967. So he witnessed my birth. He was so moved. He begged my mom would get pregnant basically every year. And dad would be like, can we name this one Norbert? She's like, hell no, I'm not naming a baby Norbert. Sorry, it's not going to happen. Baby Norbert. Can you imagine?
Baby Norby. I love it.
Yes. So mom finally relented. My dad really wanted to name me Norbert, but we had the same name. We were both Norbert Butz with nothing. So when I became an adult and was buying my first house, our credit reports would get confused. Oh. I had a couple of saucy letters from girlfriends written that my dad would get in the mail. I had to use the Leo to differentiate my dad and I for legal and personal reasons.
Wow. Well, I want to hear more about those saucy mails.
You get a love letter in the mail to Norbert Butz, and my dad would open it up and read the mail. I'm like, Dad, that's mine. So I've always used the middle name professionally and personally to sort of,
it certainly is unforgettable. You won't mix it up with anybody, right?
That's the truth, man. It's to my knowledge, I am the only Norbert Butz in SAG-AFTRA. I definitely will say that. I
love it. Okay, I want to ask you about this, and again, if you can't talk about it because of the strike, shut me down and shut me up. There's going to be a new Hulu thing about Aaron Hernandez, tragic story out with the Patriots, and you are playing Patriots coach Bill Belichick.
That is true.
All right. That is blasphemous in St. Louis. You know that, right?
I know. Here's what's really funny. I don't follow the NFL, really. I watched the Super Bowl. I really have never been much of a football fan. I'm a soccer fan. I'm a baseball fan. Football. When I got called and offered this part, I was like, remind me who Bill Belichick is again. That's how little I know about football. I hear what you're saying.
Maybe I'm a little biased.
He is a controversial figure. I've been doing a lot of research. I've actually gotten to talk, I can't talk too much about it. Where the project is on ice right now until the strike is over.
Right.
But I will say he's a really complicated guy. The way I always look at it, when you're playing somebody, you're like a defense attorney. It's your job to. That's how I've always thought about acting. I'm representing, whether it's a fictional character or a true character, right? I'm going to bat for this character, right? I got to play them, the good, the bad, the total person. So as an actor, you really do have to find justifications why people do the things they do. And this is a guy who is so singular-minded. The guy's favorite book is The Art of War. He is so singular-minded in terms of strategic battle that, like great leaders everywhere, he knows how to take the boundaries and push them as far as they can possibly go without breaking in order to secure that win. That's what good leaders and good coaches do, whether politics or business or anything. You stay in the lane, but you widen the parameters of sometimes what is ethical, because it is about ultimately, and this is what I will say about Belichick, and this is why I really respect the man. He is for football and he is for his players. There's very little ego in the guy. I mean, look, when you have succeeded as much as Bill has, and you
no doubt about his success. I have the mad respect for his success.
What I'm most interested in Bill Belichick, and I've had to do like a deep dive into rules, regulations, scouting, positions, strategies, all these things.
And you're doing all this without being a football fan. I find that really interesting.
Hardcore research. I actually have a couple of friends who work for the NFL, and I have a couple of friends who know Bill quite well. So I've been doing my research. I've learned more about football in the past several months than I ever thought I would. But I'm most interested in the man off season. I'm most interested in the man as a father, as a partner, as a friend. And he is adored by his inner circle. Very private guy, very stoic guy, very decent man. You can't find anybody to say a bad word about him in that personal, private sphere as his. Incredible friend, incredibly loyal, wonderful dad, complicated guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Parts I like to play. So I didn't need to know a lot about football. The psychology of the guy is fascinating.
Yeah, it was probably a better thing that you didn't. And you didn't come in with a, bitter Rams fan or bitter Buffalo Bills fan here. That's me. True. Now, have you tried on the hoodie with the cutoff sleeves yet?
I have. I spend about 4.5 hours in makeup to getting ready to play him. It's quite. He's a bigger guy than me. He's much beefier. His face is much more weathered. He's got that famous downward kind of scowl.
He sure does.
Yes, I'm heavily padded playing Belichick. He is. He's not a tall. We're about the same height, but he is just a tank. He's just. A tank. Belichick was never a great football player. He did play a year of college ball before he had an injury that put him out. But here's the thing: I don't know if a lot of people know. Football's not even his great love. Lacrosse is. He was an extremely competitive lacrosse player.
Did not know that.
Kids. His daughter went on to be an NCAA lacrosse player and coach. That's really his sport that he is, even more than football. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, hopefully this darn strike will be over with soon and people can get back to work. Hopefully all this can happen. Last question. Is there any, because you've done so much, is there any part of the entertainment industry that you haven't done that you'd love to delve into? Directing, producing, things like that? There
is. I write, and I'm working on a screenplay that a personal story that I would just love to. I don't know if it'll ever see the light of day. I would love to write. I write short stories. I'd love to be published someday. It's one of my great passions, great loves. I'm a big reader, and I have such respect for great writers. I'd love to write and get something published someday. So
something tells me that if you want to do it, you will, because you've already done so much and it was great.
Oh, thanks, Randy.
All right. Well, I think that's going to conclude our talk. And I promise I'll look at Bill Belichick as a Buffalo Bills fan in a different light now, based on what you told me, because I respect good people and good dads. So thank you so much for your time. I know you have a tennis game to get to down in Florida. I appreciate it. And I cannot wait to see you back to work on screen, on stage, everywhere.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
This has been More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. Be sure to like or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.